Hi everyone, welcome back. I am so excited for today's video. It is my 10 before the end, which honestly was really hard to decide which 10. I've been meaning to read, but I've just been reading other books. Honestly, since I'm such a big mood reader, I just read whatever I obviously feel like. There's no certain order that I want to read this, but I just know I want to read these certain books before the end of 2025. Can you believe it? It is almost December, and that is absolutely just crazy. So enough of me yapping, let's get started. Okay, so the first book that I want to read before 2025 ends is The Nightingale, Kristen Hanna. And I actually tried reading this before back in June, July. I read up to like chapter 1 and I just could not get into it. One, I'm not a historical fiction girl, so I'm trying to get into it. I was just not having fun, and I just know I heard so many good things about it, and I do want to get into historical fiction. So I'm hoping I will be able to read this within sometime next month, the end of this month maybe. I don't know, but I definitely want to read this before 2025 ends. I already attempted to read this twice and so far nothing, so hopefully I can read it. Okay, the next book, it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which this is actually part of my November TBR. I think every time I see a TikTok, my boyfriend sees a TikTok of like my zodiac, my birthday month, they say this is my book. So I'm really curious on why they say this is my book. Now, I don't know if it's just because they just pick a random book or it has something significant to like March birthdays, Aries, this and that. I also been wanting to read this author for a while now. This next book, I have not read anything about this author yet, and I actually been meaning to read from this author. I just have not. And this book, I've had it for ages, and I've been hearing stuff about this book for the longest time now, to where I think I already know what the book is about. But it is Credence by Penelope Douglas. Yes, I know a lot of people love Penelope Douglas. Just for some reason, I have her books, I just haven't read them, and every time I try to pick it up and I'm gonna read them, I just don't know why. Usually dark romances, I read it within like 2 to 3 days because they're usually short and easy reads for me, at least. So I know I can easily finish this within 2 to 3 days or even a day, depending on how invested I am into the book. Because like with Haunting Adeline, the Mindfuck series is 5 books. I read those 5 books in less than 48 hours, even though yes, those books are kind of short, but still, like, I'm not really a fast reader. However, if I'm really invested, I become a fast reader. Okay, certain ones I finish in less than a day, like the Insatiable series, the Mindfuck series, those two, my god tiers. So I am looking forward to Penelope Douglas' work. Same thing could be said about the next one I'm going to show you. Finished the first book, I believe, sometime this year. Beginning of this year or the end of last year. I don't remember exactly when. And then I was going to start this book, which I decided to start it after I finished reading Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. I started Fourth Wing last year, but I just never really finished it. And then I decided to finish it this year, and I read Iron Flame afterwards, and then I read Onyx Storm when it came out. And I decided to read this book. And I'm gonna tell you now, it was not a good idea because all I could think about was Xaden every time I read it. It's A Court of Mist and Fury. Yes, okay, so all I could think about is Xaden every time Tamlin was doing something, because I'm like, Xaden could never. Okay, I'm like, boy, okay, so I decided to read this after Onyx Storm, in which Onyx Storm put me in the hugest, biggest reading slump ever, and so I just could never finish it. And I am on chapter 4. And I've been on chapter 4 since whenever Onyx Storm came out. I think it was like, what, January? I'm gonna have to restart this, but I definitely do want to finish this before 2025 so I can finish the rest of the series. And then I can start Throne of Glass in Crescent City, because all my friends, they absolutely love Throne of Glass and Crescent City. Like, they say Throne of Glass is like their top tier favorite series. And like, new bookish friends that I made also said Throne of Glass is their top 10 favorite series. I want to know why. Like, I'm invested. I even marked the 2 tandem read books so I can tandem read them, but I haven't gotten there yet. So, and I also know the 6th book, I believe, is coming out sometime maybe next year for ACOTAR. So I definitely do want to finish the whole series before that comes out. But it requires me to actually finish this book first so I can read the next 3 books. Yeah, the next book I actually just got recently, but I am actually very intimidated by how it looks, so that is why I have not read it yet. But I do want to read this before the end of this year because, one, I heard tons of great things. The reviews on Goodreads are pretty good. I just want to get over my fear of intimidations of books because it is The Will of Many by James Islington. Can't pronounce that, I'm so sorry. But yeah, so, and plus this is a big boy, okay? This is a big boy. So next one is The One and Only by Anna Huang, the queen herself. I absolutely love her books. I have finished the Twisted series this year, and well, I finished 2 books last year and 2 books this year. I am so excited to read the King of Sin series. Now, at first, I really want to read The Striker and the Defender, but I'm not sure if I need to read it in a certain order because I've heard that people say you have to read it in certain orders. Now, honestly, you do what you want, right? You can read what you want in what order you want. It's up to you. However, I love following the chronological order of books and stuff. So at first I was gonna read The Striker and Defender and that was gonna be part of this list, but I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna read the King of Sin series next. So this is King of Wrath, which is the first book of the series, and I am so excited. I feel like I am gonna absolutely love this series. Don't know what books I'm gonna love because I think there's 6 books right behind me, but I don't feel like looking. However, I could tell you this, I read Twisted Hate, which is the 3rd book, and then Twisted Lies is the 4th book, but I didn't have Twisted Hate because I was not living for it. I didn't have that 50%, and I read Twisted Lies. I finished it within like 2 days, 3 days. Absolutely ate it up, went back to Twisted Hate, and I absolutely loved it. I actually just got recently, and the reason why I want to read this is because not only is supporting my fellow Vit authors, or she could be Vit Chinese even, because the last name Dang could be that she's mixed with Chinese or Vit or fully Vit. Yeah, anyways, it's by Catherine Dang. It's called What Hunger, and I believe this is a thriller. It's a summer before high school and Ronnie Wing finds herself too young for work, too old for cartoons. You're never too old for cartoons. Moving on, the next book is actually was part of my November TBR that I said I want to read, but I don't think I'll be able to get to this. So it is The Names by Florence Snaps, and it is a fiction book which I don't really read, so I want to get into fiction. However, this story of what I know so far sounds so intriguing that I want to read it, and I'm so sad that I'm not gonna be able to read it this time because I'm already reading a lot. She has to name her kid, and she has to see the paths of what if she named her kid this and this, and what path they go into. So I am so excited. I've never read anything from her before, and honestly I don't really read fiction at all. So next book I actually had for a while now. I think my boyfriend got this for me and I just never read it. Don't know why, it's just been sitting on my shelf, and I was like, you know, it's time. I've been staring at it recently. I was like, this is time. I'm gonna read this year. And it is a Star Wars book. It is The Princess and the Scoundrel. Yes. Han Solo and Princess Leia. I absolutely love them. If you guys didn't know, I am a huge Star Wars fan. My boyfriend's actually the one who got me to Star Wars, and I absolutely love it because we also have matching rings. I have a ring that says like I love you, but in like Star Wars language. I don't know what it's called, but it's in Star Wars language. And then my boyfriend has one that says I know, if you know you know, but it is a reference to Princess Leia and Han Solo, and I absolutely love them so much. So I feel like I'm really gonna enjoy this book. I haven't really read any Star Wars related books ever. I've only watched Star Wars movies and played Star Wars games, but I've never read any books that are Star Wars related. So I'm looking forward to this because the only thing that I watch and read that are related are like DC comics, like Batman, Superman, all that stuff. I read those and also watch those. I love seeing the comparison of books and movies and shows because they're so different. But like honestly with DC Comics it's kind of a lot. It's really different. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked, but yeah, this is on my list to read before the end of this year. The last book that I want to read before the end of this year. Now, I attempted to read this back when it came out, back in September, okay? And then I put it onto my October TBR, I think I did. If not, it was on my mind that I was gonna read it, but then I didn't get to it. I only read chapter 1, but I need to obviously reread it if I start it. And then it was on my November TBR. You guys will see once my October November TBR comes out, you would realize that I didn't read a lot of my books for my November TBR, and I read books just for my shelf. However, this was on the list of what I want to read, and I figured that I wasn't gonna get to it. And plus, it is a hefty book. Like, it is bigger than The Will of Many. Like, that one, yeah, this one's just huge. And I know I want to read it before the end of this year, but it is called the one and only Alchemized. Yes, there's like what, 1,000 pages, and apparently I found out that people said you should, there's like part 1 and 2, I think. I don't know if there's 3 parts, but I know there's part 1 and 2. But apparently they tell you once you finish part 1, you read part 2, and then wait, is there 3 parts? I think there's 3 parts. And then before you read part 3, you go back to part 1, and then you go back to 3, if that makes sense. I don't know. I saw a TikTok of people talking about it somewhere, saying like how they read part 1, then part 2, went back to part 1, and then go back to part 3 after they finish part 1 again. Apparently it helps them understand the information more, and like everything just clicks in place and makes sense more. However, you do what you want, you read what you want. I might do that though. I might read part 1 and 2, go back to part 1, then read part 3, or I might just go on one go. You know, I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of hate towards Alchemized, and obviously everyone has their personal preference and like how they like the writing style. Like, not every author's writing is for you. However, people are saying how this is a romantasy, but what I know, it is not a romantasy. It is a dark fantasy with hints of romance, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I just know this is a very, very dark book, and it's nowhere near a romantasy read. And not only there is trigger warning, so you must read the trigger warnings before you read this, because I know there's a lot of dark topics and subjects in this book, and a lot of people compare Alchemized to The Handmaid's Tale. You would know this is not like, you know, a romance book. You know what I mean? Don't quote everything I said. Take everything I said with a grain of salt, because I have a memory of a goldfish. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Those are the 10 before the end. So I do have a top 5 that I do want to read before the end of this year, and it is these 5: Alchemized, King of Wrath, A Court of Mist and Fury, Credence, and The Princess and the Scoundrel. These are the 5 I definitely want to read before the end of this year, and this is basically my main priority reading, and then the rest will be whenever I get the chance to read them. So that is my 10 before the end. Let me know what is on your 10 before the end, because I'm very curious. And also, I do plan on doing Bookmas, but I'm also trying to plan out what videos to do for Bookmas. I actually did film like a video of your 10 before the end. Link it down below. I'll be happy to watch them, or just like comment like down below like, oh, I did my video, you should go check out. I would come and check it out, because I love supporting other small content creators. But yeah, so if you guys want to see certain videos during Bookmas, let me know. I'll be happy to do them. I know one of them is definitely gonna be a bookshelf tour, because a lot of people have been requesting to see a bookshelf tour. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.